Next Saturday night at UFC on ESPN 42 in Orlando, Florida, Roman the Caucasian Dolidze has the chance of a lifetime. After Derek Brunson was forced to withdraw from his bout against Jack the Joker Hermansson due to an injury, Roman Dolidze is going to step in on just a few weeks' short notice. This is a tough fight for Hermansson, this is a tough fight for Dolidze, but I feel like Dolidze has the advantages in places where Jack the Joker Hermansson has struggled. Roman Dolidze is a long, tall, rangy guy, and he packs knockout power. You've seen that in his last 2 wins inside the UFC, which both came via KO TKO over Kyle Dawkins and Phil Hawes more recently. Both of those KOs were vicious, clean, nasty knockouts early on in the fight. So from the minute the bell rings against Hermansson, Roman Dolidze is going to be coming for blood. And if he smells that blood, he will put you out. And there's really no question about that. Jack Hermansson's coming off that decision victory over Chris Curtis in a fight where a lot of people believed Curtis was going to be able to finish the Joker inside the distance. But Jack showed a different fight style from what we've seen recently, and he fought on the outside using a lot of inside and outside low kicks, kicks to the body, and more of a kicking-based game than throwing punches, and was able to fight on the outside and dance his way to a victory via decision over Curtis. Chris Curtis was visibly frustrated, even verbally coming after Hermansson after the fight and flipping him the bird before the decision was read. But Hermansson did what he needed to do, and if he can employ this technical style over his next few fights, I feel like it can bring him a lot of success inside the octagon. But stylistically, I think Dolidze is a nightmare matchup for Hermansson. I think the range, the distance, and more importantly, the power that he showcased just in his last 2 fights inside the premier mixed martial arts organization in the world is going to give Hermansson a lot of trouble. We've seen Hermansson finished in the past, we've seen him dropped in the past, and I feel like if Dolidze is able to connect with one of those vicious knees from inside the clinch like he did against Kyle Dawkins, or a brutal multi-shot combination like he landed on Phil Hawes prior to the finish, I think that it's going to be a big problem for Jack Hermansson, and I quite honestly see Hermansson being finished by Dolidze in the fight. Now, I know Dolidze's coming into this fight as, I believe, a plus 150 to plus 170 underdog, somewhere in that range. It could be a little bit higher or a little bit lower, depending on what the odds are currently, and I think Dolidze is a very solid pick as an underdog for UFC Orlando. I know that Hermansson has great jiu-jitsu. I know that he has good wrestling. I know he has good top control. I know he can fight on the outside. And yeah, maybe if he point fights and sticks to the outside and goes for takedowns at certain points, he can possibly get a decision. But I don't see him submitting Roman Dolidze, because Dolidze is a multiple-time grappling world champion prior to being in the UFC. And we saw his grappling showcased against Phil Hawes, where he locked up a weird position with a leg lock and basically blew out his knee prior to him getting up and then being knocked out after that. I think Dolidze is a big problem for the middleweight division, and although he's kind of just burst onto the scene in recent months, I feel like this is a guy we all need to keep our eye on. The power he possesses, his build, his size, being over 6 foot tall in the middleweight division, with the length, reach, and power that he possesses, and the jiu-jitsu world-class ground game to fall back on, I think that he's a problem for a lot of guys in the middleweight division. I know he's lost to Trevin Giles via decision and he didn't look great in that fight, but I feel like he's sharpened up his striking technique and is more comfortable on the feet now than we've seen in the past. And with a potential finish victory over a top contender like Jack Hermansson at 185, I feel like we're only going to have one thing to say after UFC Orlando, and it's that Roman Dolidze has arrived and that he is a problem for the middleweight division. Thank you everybody for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit a spinning back elbow on the notification bell so you do not miss a single upload from the premier mixed martial arts channel on this YouTube platform. Thank you all, have a blessed day, and I'll see you at the fights this weekend.